Hi, this is Jennifer Welch. I'm the Associate Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at Upstate Medical University in Syracuse. And I just wanted to share some information with you about our College of Medicine and do kind of an open house presentation, if you will. So every year we get about 4,500 applications to the College of Medicine. Out of that group, we select about 750 students to interview. Out of that group, we will offer acceptance to anywhere between 380 and 420. And then we will matriculate a class of about 170 students. My hope is at the end of this presentation that you guys will be part of the group that we end up accepting. I do hope to provide some insight from a College of Medicine admissions committee's perspective so that it will help you guys to frame your applications moving forward. So I think one of the most important things is that students apply early. It is incredibly imperative that students apply early in a cycle. The AAMC opens their AMCAS applications on May 1st or 2nd. So students have the entire month of May to prepare their AMCAS application. At the end of May, the applications will be submitted or can be submitted to AAMC for verification. And then the medical schools can start to download those applications sometime around the end of June. So applying early is really important. Medical schools will start to review applications either at the end of June or beginning of July. And invitations for interviews will come out very, very quickly. Most medical schools will start their interview process in September. At Upstate, we do that. Our first interview date is actually the first week of September. So at that point, we have 750 interview spots available. And so we start reviewing applications, we start filling those interview spots. So the later that you wait to apply, the less interview slots are available. So, you know, as you can see by this presentation, it does say apply early. It does also give our deadlines. October 15th is our AMCAS application deadline, and December 1st is our completed application deadline. I will tell you that if you wait until the December 1st deadline, there are likely very, very minimal interview slots left. In some cases, maybe a handful. To complete an application, you'll need to submit the verified AMCAS application to us. We do require a supplemental application that will ask different questions for the application. We also require a non-refundable $110 application fee, as well as your letters of recommendation. Letters of recommendation can be sent through AMCAS, and that is our preferred method of receiving those letters of recommendation. We also would recommend that you take the MCATs in either May or June. There's typically a 30 to 45 day turnaround time for MCATs, so the earlier that you take them, again, the better. Taking them in May or June will complete your application sometime in July, and that is absolutely preferable. So a lot of times students will ask me what they can major in college. Really, you can major in anything that you want. We do find that probably 80% of the students that are coming into medical school will have majored in some kind of hard science, whether that be biology, chemistry, physics, neuroscience, something like that. But truly, you can major in anything. And if you do major in something different, like computer science or art or something in the humanities or, I don't know, engineering, you will look at medicine from a very different perspective than other students. So it's really important that you follow your gut and your heart when you're deciding what major to pursue. The required courses at Upstate Medical University continue to be Biology 1 and 2 with lab, Chemistry 1 and 2 with lab, Physics 1 and 2 with lab, Orgo 1 with a lab, Biochemistry 1, Statistics, and then we also require an English composition course and another English elective. We also recommend, if you can fit it into your schedule, some really helpful courses would be genetics, cell bio, physiology, and any of the social sciences. So what do we look for? I would say about 70 to 75% of our decision is based on grades and MCATs. So the grades that you receive in the courses that you take are going to be very important. We're looking for an upward trajectory of your grades. So, you know, if something maybe didn't go so well for you freshman year, but your grades continue to rise, that's what we're looking for. So you don't necessarily have to have A's in all of the courses. And, you know, if you do happen to have one C, that is not going to keep you out of medical school. So grades are something that we will consider. We will look at how you put your courses together. We'll look at where you went to college. We'll look at how you challenged yourself. We'll look at how you did overall academically. If you are in a situation where maybe one of your semesters you didn't perform as well as you had liked or had hoped, we do ask that you clarify that for us. You know, always students have reasons for doing things. And if there's something that was going on that semester, or, you know, maybe something was going on at home or something was going on at school, we want to know what that is, because this is our only opportunity to really kind of see how you'll be able to perform in the medical school level. And so if there's any question about your grades, please clarify that either in your personal statement, in an email directly to the admissions office, or somewhere in your secondary application. Your MCAT, as I mentioned, is going to be important. We focus a lot on the biological and the chemistry sections, but we also focus a lot on the CARS section, which is your writing ability and analytical thinking. And that is becoming more and more important. So MCATs, I would say, take them once. And definitely prepare for the MCAT. Don't ever go into it and just say, oh, this is something I'm just going to try and see how I do, because the MCATs will follow you for 3 years. So if you are a student that does not test well, you may want to look into some kind of a Kaplan course or Princeton Review or Exam Crackers or UWorld or something that can really help you to prepare for the MCAT. We encourage students to take them no more than 3 times. If you take the MCAT more than 3 times, there is a definite concern in terms of medical schools and your ability to perform well on USMLE Step 1 and Step 2. So we definitely want you to perform as well as you can. And again, no more than 3 times unless you have extenuating circumstances. Be prepared for the MCAT, do what you need to do. If you're not a good test taker, definitely get some additional help. Practice on the MCATs, take a full-length preparatory exam just so that you know what it's like. And when you're doing that, make sure that you're taking the test, the test under the same types of conditions where you will take the regular MCAT. Sit for the same amount of time. Don't get up and make a peanut butter sandwich. Make sure that you're really strictly adhering to the guidelines that will be presented to you when you take the MCAT for real. Your personal statement is really the next thing on your application that we will look at. And the personal statement is really the only place where you actually become who you are and what you're all about. It's your story. It's your opportunity to tell us everything that we want to know. So if there's something particular that happened to you that made you decide that medicine was your calling, or something that happened in your family, or just whatever, whatever has gotten you to the point where medicine is the right career path for you, that's what we want to know. Make it personal, make it about you. I definitely want you to have other people read it, maybe 3 different people read it, and 3 different people that don't know you well. Because that's what's going to happen when you apply to medical school. You know, some of us are reviewing 200, 250 applications in a day. The personal statements really need to shine, because that is the only part where your story, your narrative is going to play out. So use it to your advantage. Please do not reiterate everything that's in your experiences section of your AMCAS application. We can see all of that. But make this set you apart. But also with a caveat, not to set you apart too far. Sometimes students will try to use humor in their personal statement, and it's really hard to get past that. So really just make it a very strong story about you, who you are, and what you're all about. Also be careful with the I factor is what we call it, how many times you say I did this and I did that and I did this. It's really an opportunity for you to provide evidence that that is the kind of person that you are. So tell us about a particular patient. Tell us about an experience. Tell us about something that we don't know in any other part of your application, right? Also be careful of your formatting. Students will sometimes submit a personal statement and it is one giant paragraph of 5,300 characters because that's all you can fit in the AMCAS application. That is incredibly, incredibly difficult to read. So make sure that when you're putting your AMCAS application together that you check on the formatting of your personal statement. I will tell you personally that I read probably the first 3 sentences of a 1-paragraph personal statement, and that's about as far as I can get in it. So please, please, please make sure that you're doing that. Have somebody go through it with a red pen. Please do not rely on spell check. It doesn't always work, and it doesn't always pick up those little nuanced kind of words, you know, maybe where you had anticipated putting what and you accidentally wrote were. Were is spelled correctly, but it might not make sense in your story. So reread it, have someone else reread it, and then have another person reread it as well. So the next thing is clinical shadowing and volunteer experiences. So that is required. You need to do some clinical shadowing. You need to have patient experiences. You need to be able to articulate what a doctor does during the day, how they interact with their patients, how they interact with the families of their patients, how do they interact with other health professionals. And you're going to learn all that through your clinical and shadowing experiences. So you have to have that prior to applying to medical school. We don't have any set number of hours that we're looking for. We're really just looking for students to be able to articulate what they've seen and what they would want to emulate and what they might want to do differently. So please make sure that you can answer those questions that I previously stated, and tell us really why medicine? How did you get here? Research is becoming increasingly important, I think, really to understand, you know, research and medicine and how they really kind of come together. We don't require research, although I can tell you at least 80% of the students that come in have some kind of research. It doesn't need to be bench research. It can be any kind of research. It can be, you know, psychological research. It can be really anything that might be of interest to you, right? The other thing is we do require other kind of meaningful experiences. We are looking for students that are well-rounded. We're looking for students that, you know, will come into the medical school and make the Syracuse community a better place. So we're looking for extracurricular involvement. We're looking to make sure that you aren't going to be in the library for 24 hours a day. We're definitely wanting students that will come in and be engaged on the campus. And finding that balance is really important because, you know, students can come and sit in the library for long periods of time, but they also need to get out of that. And they need to be able to do other things and be involved. So extracurricular involvement is going to be important. You probably heard that when you were looking for undergraduate colleges, that you needed to get involved because you need to get into college. And then here I am telling you, you need to get involved because you need to get into medical school. And guess what we're going to tell you when you get here? You need to get involved because you need to get into a good residency. It's part of being a good medical student is also going to be part of being a good doctor. The other thing is we do look for service. As a physician, you are dedicating your life to serving other people. And we want evidence of that. We want you to show us that you have service experiences, that you have spent time helping others without getting paid for it or anything like that. So, you know, if you are interested in working with the homeless, or maybe you are interested in domestic violence shelters, or maybe you're interested in, you know, inner city children and putting on some kind of an athletic event or a musical event or something like that, just showing us that you have that experience is really very important in your application. The other thing before I move on to interview qualities is your secondary application. Please think about the secondary application as important as the AMCAS application. Over the last few years, I have seen secondary applications come in and questions are left blank, no capitalization on the student's name, no capitalization in the address or the city or state that the student comes from. These are really important pieces. And I say this to you, I want you to think about your application as kind of a resume and cover letter. If there are errors, the reader really thinks that maybe there wasn't a great attention to detail. And in medicine, that is imperative. So I want you to pay attention to these little nuances because they can end up making or breaking your application. So please pay attention to all of these little things. It can be, in some cases, your reason for getting an interview or not getting an interview. All right. So all of those pieces that I just mentioned, the grades, the test scores, the extracurricular activities, the clinical work, the personal statement, the research, the extracurricular, I think I already said that, and the service work is what's going to get you to the next level. All right. And the next level is the interview. And that's really where we assess all of your personal qualities. We're looking for your character. We're looking for your communication skills. We're looking for your drive and motivation to pursue medicine. We want to be sure that we are selecting the right people to be the next generation of physicians. So the interview is your opportunity to do that and to show everybody your character and how you are able to communicate. So when you go in for the interview, what I want you to remember is that you are always being evaluated. So from every interaction that you have with an admissions staff person, even prior to an interview, quite frankly, if you're sending an email to the office, be courteous. If you're calling the office, be courteous. But once you get on campus, there are probably multiple ways that you're being evaluated that day. So I really want you to be cognizant of that as you go through this process. And I want you to practice. You know, not all of us are very comfortable in those types of situations. So I want you to practice interviewing, and I want you to practice interviewing in a suit. I want you to maybe meet with someone that doesn't know you well. You can certainly get questions off of studentdoctor.net for these types of experiences. And, you know, sit down with someone and have them ask you those questions. And also make sure that they're not letting you off the hook quite so easily, right? So, you know, if you have difficulty answering the question, I want them to be able to go back and ask the question again. So pretend that it's a real interview and pretend, you know, when you're walking and you're meeting this person that you're shaking hands, that you're looking them in the eye, that you're sitting appropriately in your chair. Because all of these things are going to then get you ready for your real interview. And at the interview, there's lots of different things that we're looking at. We're looking at how well you communicate, how you interact with your peers that are there. Many places will have student interviewers. And I think that actually student interviewers tend to be the more difficult interviewers because they tend to not look at you as a med student or a future med student. They're really looking at you as a colleague. So be prepared for those. And I would say to you, do not let your guard down when you're doing those kinds of interviews. Don't pretend that it's, you know, your buddy and relax. You're always being evaluated. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Get a suit, prepare in a suit, and dress for the occasion, dress for the experience. You know, Syracuse is in New York State. It's in the middle of central New York. It snows here. I'm not expecting students to come in with, you know, stiletto heels on. I'm expecting students to come in with boots that maybe they change into other shoes. But be prepared for that because also at the interviews there could be a lot of walking. So we want to make sure that students are comfortable. All right. And then I just wanted to share a little bit with you. I mentioned at the beginning that there's about 4,500 applications. So for the class of that entered in the fall of 2019. We had 4,534 applications, 839 interviews. That was a lot of interviews for us this year. We're anticipating it being right around 725. We matriculated a class of 169 last year. GPA was a 3.72 average. That number varies significantly. So for those of you that may have, done your undergrad and it wasn't so hot and then you went back and did a master's program, we get that and we will take that into consideration. Science GPA 3.67, average MCAT is 511.90, which is in the 84th percentile. And we matriculate students from over 82 different colleges and universities. I would say our biggest feeder schools, though, are Cornell University, Binghamton University, Syracuse University, University of Rochester, and the State University of New York at Geneseo. So I think that that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of what the College of Medicine is looking for. This slide also shows that we do have advising. We do advising once a month for students that can come onto campus, and we'll do a little presentation, and then we also will do a one-on-one with students. For more information, you can visit our website. Our email is admiss@upstate.edu, and our phone number is 315-464-4570. We do also have open houses twice a year, and we would love for you to come and visit campus whenever you get the chance. All right. If you need anything at all, I hope that you will reach out. It is very important for me to hopefully get to know you. And I thank you so much for being a part of my presentation today. Have a great day. Thanks.